sharing showers and toilets with male co-workers. What girls in the DPRK experience during Army service? Greetings! Today we're going to talk about the Army in North Korea, and at the same time we will consider the peculiarities of service for female representatives of the female sex. Which branch of the Army is the most prestigious for young girls? Is it true that Korean women have to share a common barracks with men up to the toilet and shower stall? And why do girls have their shoes tied with ropes at parades, which is an integral part of the service? Be sure to watch the video to the very end, so as not to miss anything important. It will be interesting and informative. Army in the DPRK. Many of you know firsthand that the North Korean Army is one of the most numerous in the world. This is indeed true. For example, as of today, its number has passed 700 million people. One of the key features of the Army service in the DPRK is the mandatory conscription of the female population. Korean women, along with boys and men, are obliged to fulfill their duty to the motherland. Very soon it will be 10 years since the introduction of compulsory service for North Korean girls. It should be noted that the age of conscription for Korean girls starts at the age of 18. As in most cases, girls, after graduating to serve in the DPRK Army. At that, the total term of service is from 3 to 7 years. For the male part of the population, from 5 to 7 years. You will probably ask, why did the government of North Korea introduce compulsory conscription for girls? The answer is quite simple. The higher officials of the DPRK considered that the female part of the country's population is more loyal and responsible to fulfill their duties, although initially Korean women volunteered for service. Over time, the girls got used to this arrangement, and many decided to build a career and achieve the desired results. However, such success depends on the branch of the military that Korean women join. At the moment, service in aviation, DPRK Air Force, is the most prestigious option among the existing ones. But to get there is not so easy as it may seem at first glance. And in general, girls serve in all branches of troops: motorized rifle squad, navy, railroad troops, etc. Of course, not all girls go to the Army. Someone is exempted due to student activity, someone may not be drafted because of a special status, honored athletes and public figures, and someone does not serve because of serious health complications. But in all other cases, Korean women are obliged to serve the required period of time. All this would be nothing if it were not for the difficulties that Korean women have to face. This is especially true for new recruits. To examine this issue in more detail, it is enough to cite the testimony of one woman. At a young age, she managed to leave the military unit, after which she gave a sort of interview. Lee So-young, that is the name of the former servicewoman, described in more detail the chaos that reigned in the DPRK Army. Well, let's find out what the woman told us. Shared shower room with men, complete unsanitary conditions, lack of cosmetics. Let's start with the fact that Lee So-yeon is in her 40s. She was in the DPRK Army in the noughties, but she couldn't make it to the end. She simply deserted and went into hiding in South Korea. So, what didn't she like about the North Korean Army? Let's go through it one by one. First of all, Lee So-young shared a common shower stall and toilet with the male contingent. Yes, the barracks where the Korean women lived was also for guys and men. You probably immediately thought at the very least of wrongdoing on the part of the young men. Like first wedding night with a Korean woman. And you know, that's exactly the news that Lee So-yeon herself expounded on. As proof of her words, she pointed out how the platoon commander had been secluded with Korean women against their will. Second, the escaped woman repeatedly mentioned the unsanitary conditions in the barracks. The mess and scattered belongings were nothing compared to what was going on outside the walls. The girls had to sleep on mattresses that had not been cleaned or washed for years, and they were filled with rice husks. There was often no hot water in the shower stalls, which made it impossible to bathe. A hose was used as a shower, which was connected to a water pipe leading to a pond. No wonder there were all kinds of animals in the shower stall, in addition to water. Third, Lee So-yeon complained about the lack of cosmetics and personal hygiene items. Based on the woman's testimony, it seems that the girls did not use cosmetics at all, and not because it was forbidden to use them. It was because they were completely absent from the barracks. On top of that, Lee So-yeon said that most of the girls were on duty. They had to do all the dirty work. That's a lot of psychological stress for the recruits, especially considering what was going on in the barracks and what each Korean woman had to endure. The only plus, according to Lee So-young, was the daily rations, which meant that no one went hungry. This practice was common in the 1990s. Over time, the issue of food turned out to be the most significant. For example, it is well known that many soldiers in the modern Korean army are malnourished. Their rations, if I may say so, are limited to a few vegetables, mostly potatoes, and corn kernels. The ratio of this ration is 2 to 3 tubers of potatoes to 1 serving of corn. But at least the soldiers are fed 3 times a day. And that, as they say, is thanks. That's all Lee So-young told the public. North Korean authorities became aware of the woman's testimony sometime after the interview. The country's higher-ups criticised the former servicewoman's words. From above, expressed that the woman gave such an interview to journalists for a reason. Apparently, Lee So-young was offered a substantial fee. It is quite natural that for such money one can say anything. Later, some DPRK residents agreed with this. As for the riots and illegal actions, the authorities commented on the situation as follows. North Korean officials explained that there are no common barracks in the DPRK. In each barracks there are girls and boys separately. It is forbidden to molest recruits and do anything more than that. Otherwise, men will definitely be seriously punished for such a misdemeanor. Although it is possible that such actions in the absence of superiors are more than likely. Tied with a rope shoes. It is important not to forget that the parade in the DPRK is a solemn and fundamental procedure in the whole country. During the procession of Korean soldiers, the power of the entire army is demonstrated. That is why any misstep on the part of a Korean woman is certainly not interpreted in her favour. Women's shoes are securely tied with ordinary rope so that they do not dangle or fly off. Otherwise, the guilty girl or woman will be severely punished. Also in the army, often cannot find the right size of shoes. So, tying the existing shoes tightly is the only method that has been used for many years. Conclusion: thus, all girls in the DPRK are currently serving in the army. Only a few are exempted from compulsory conscription if we compare them with the total population. Shared barracks with the male part of the population is an open question, since it is not known exactly what happens behind the walls in the absence of the authorities, as well as the commanders of the units.